on the big screen and then take a picture. You can stay as you are.
Okay.
I'll just take a picture from here.
Okay.
Great. I see a number of guitars behind you. Perfect. I'll just push the mic behind. Okay, perfect. That's good. For Keba, எப்படி இருக்கீங்க சொல்லுங்க.
I'm good. Life is going on.
Right. And lockdown, of course, it's interesting times for everyone. So does this mean more creative space for you?
It does mean a lot more space for me to do a lot more creative stuff, as in also a little bit of discovering new stuff, because usually you are just working all the time and doing something. So this time it's really helping me to like, okay, is there something new I can learn?
Yeah.
Is there something new that can be done? And surprisingly enough, I've done some work for Rahman sir during this lockdown.
Oh, really?
I worked on that the VTV2.
Karthik Dayal Saidal.
Yeah, so wanted me to do recreate a version of one of the themes, Jesse's Land.
Wow.
And he wanted me to do a guitar version, and I did it during the lockdown.
And you did it from home or you went to a studio?
I did it from home.
Wow.
Yeah. They wanted, actually that was right in the middle of lockdown, so nobody was allowed to travel, so I worked from home.
Wow, amazing. Right. And it's turned out to be so magical.
Yeah, it's doing really well. Everybody is really hoping that there's a VTV part 2, a full movie. So.
And guess what? I think a week later, Gautam Menon came on the podcast.
Oh.
And, yeah, he was talking about it and he said it was absolutely magical. He didn't know what to expect from Sir. Okay. And he said he basically received an email with the file and he heard it and he felt it was magical. That's all. So, right. Keba, you might remember that, of course, in some of the concerts that I've traveled, I've actually met you. I met you in Melbourne when you came here.
Yeah.
Towards
somewhere north of India also. Did you come?
Delhi.
Yes.
2017 December. Encore concert.
Correct.
I flew all the way from Australia just to meet Sir.
Oh.
And of course, I stayed in the same hotel, Shangri-La.
Correct.
And
we met
we met in the lobby.
Yeah,
myself, you and Karthik together took a picture, if you might remember.
Correct. Yes.
And then I met you again in August 2019, Chennai concert.
Yes, correct.
And then Trichy, February. 4 மாசம் முன்னாடி 5 மாசம் முன்னாடி. Right. It's the best part is, right, you've always been grounded. Every time I met you, you have no air around you because of course you've been with Sir for so long, and there is absolutely no celebrity air around you at all. You're just like a normal guy.
I just prefer being that way because I enjoy doing stuff that normal people do. As in, I want to be able to go to a tea shop and enjoy a tea for the rest of my life. That's something I want to be able to do, So I'm happy. I'm just happy the way things are.
And we are super happy too. I mean, you have a huge fan following. I can tell you this because I'm sure you must have heard about this podcast, Sir Vandare, and then of course before Sir, so many others came. So it's been a phenomenal. And I started this more like a tribute to Sir, because I work in IT and I do a lot of technical podcasts. So when the lockdown started, one of the days I finished a technical podcast and I was sitting on the sofa and I was thinking, okay, let me look for a AR Rahman podcast. Nothing came up. And I thought, you know what? I want to start one. That's where it began. And then, of course, I took Sir's permission. And Sir put a smiley and then boom, that's it. And that's where it all started. And then it's been a magical ride. And then the podcast has turned out to be more like a talking autobiography of Sir.
Okay.
So it's been magical. Even Sir's sister Rayana ma'am came.
Oh, nice.
And so thank you so much, Keba, because at the end of the day, I'm just a fan. I don't come with any brand backing. I'm not even a professional podcaster. I'm just doing it out of pure love for Sir. And you are supporting me on this journey. That's all.
I'm just happy. Just happy to support, and obviously we are here to talk about our experience with Rahman sir, and which have always been magical. So I'm I'm just grateful to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Keva. And before we jump into the core topic, I want
Yeah.
to ask you about, for me, the most important topic, a new family member, Mocha.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
So Mocha is right now at my brother's place.
Yeah.
So during this lockdown, my nephews and niece were like, "It's getting boring. We need to, uh, they always wanted a puppy."
Yeah.
And then suddenly there's a pretty popular breeder near our area, and he was like, "There's a golden retriever that's there. It's the last one of the litter.
Yeah.
So are you willing to take it?" So it was just 40 days old. And
Wow.
then we went and bought her and came. And oh, she's super hyperactive. Usually I don't let her into this
Yeah.
kind of small studio room because she ends up biting the cables and she's biting everything right now. She's going for everything. She's trying out strings. What strings are like, and she's biting the guitars and stuff. But
Wow.
I mean, but it's so much fun to have her around. So much. At least it's like a good dose of happiness during this
True.
whole time. Yeah.
Very true. And even I have a pet.
I
His name
used
is Happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he just turned two a couple of months ago. So he's just only 2 years old, 2 years and 2 months.
Oh,
And I'm getting another one
oh,
because I feel he needs a friend. So I'm getting another one, and that will be a golden retriever.
oh, nice.
And I haven't thought about the name because this guy is Happy and the other one will be Love.
Oh, nice.
That's the plan. I'll share the pictures when he comes up. So, Keva, I would love to hear so much about your experience, but I would like to start off first from your childhood. What was your childhood like? When did you realize music was the thing for you?
See, honestly, I really never knew that music would be the thing. I mean, I went for music classes. I started learning music. My
Okay.
parents always pushed us to learn music. All the children, we
Yeah.
all wanted to learn music. And I wasn't a great student when I went to music class, but I started playing a lot on my own. I used to
Right.
listen to stuff and play a lot of stuff on my own.
Yeah.
And then I slowly started playing in church a lot. In church we always play a lot of music. And then eventually when I finished school, I really wanted to study music.
Right.
But my parents were like, nothing's happening. You have to go and do your engineering. And then and I was like, they were like, you first do your engineering and then you can do whatever you want.
Right.
And so I basically studied in Dubai and I
Yeah.
came to India to do my engineering.
Right.
So I came to Chennai. That's when I came to Chennai to do my engineering. I started playing here with some musicians,
Okay.
and then that's when I realized the music scene in Chennai was huge, was massive, and such incredible musicians,
Mm.
and there was so much learning that I could do.
Mm.
Right from when I came in 2004, there was so much to learn because so many good musicians around. So I started learning a lot by watching everybody play, watching YouTube videos, and that's actually where I decided I can do music. And
Wow.
I had only one condition. The condition was you finish engineering, and then you can do whatever you want. And
Yeah.
I'm glad I took that journey because it's only because of that journey I ended up meeting up with some of the best directors and
Wow.
everybody that I've worked with. It's
Amazing.
been an incredible journey. So basically, around 2006, in my third year of engineering,
Mm.
by then itself, I knew that I wanted to do music full time. So I was just waiting to finish engineering and then keep doing music.
Right. May I know in what stream you specialized in your engineering?
I'm a mechanical engineer, but I don't remember anything. I,
No, I was going to ask you, did your engineering uh, play any role in your music?
I think the only way my engineering helped is it helped me meet everybody.
Right.
But and honestly, I was not a bad student. I studied well. I had good grades, and it's just that I just don't remember anything anymore. With that. So, like, if you put me in a core job now, I wouldn't know a thing. So, but yeah. But the thing is, when I was studying in college, uh, Flute Naveen, there's a
Yes.
flutist from Chennai.
Yes.
Flute Naveen was my senior
Wow.
in college, And back then, he used to play so much in college, so it was very inspiring back then.
Yeah.
So a lot of there was already a lot of music that was happening during college, and I
Yeah.
never played so much in college. So although a lot of my friends knew I played,
Yeah.
I really didn't play in college a lot. So
Yeah.
that my college mates knew I played guitar. So
Yeah.
now my college mates see me playing for Rahman and Rahman sir and Anirudh and all that. They're like super thrilled, and this. Yeah, it's crazy. But some of them don't even believe it. A lot of them initially didn't believe that. Like when I said, "Hey man, check out this song I've played for Rahman sir," they're like, "What are you kidding or what?" So yeah, but it's been an interesting journey. Yeah.
So, on that note, may I know, rather, how did you meet Sir? And then, what was it like when you met him for the first time?
Okay, this is a very interesting story. So singer Srinivas,
Yes.
I was playing for singer Srinivas for a few recordings here and there, playing a couple of shows for him.
Yeah.
And then singer Srinivas one day was like, "You have to meet Rahman sir sometime." And I was like, "I'm happy. I know I'd love to meet him anytime." And then I still remember I was at a rehearsal for a show, and then Srini sir called me and he's like, "Can you come to Rahman sir's studio?" And I said, "Sure, I'll come." And that's how that experience started. So I went to the studio,
Yeah.
and sir was sitting right there, and he asked me, "Do you have your guitar with you?" And usually I have all my guitars in my car. I usually carry a
Yeah.
set of guitars in my car. I'm like, "Yes, I have my guitar," and I went and brought it and came.
Mm.
And the next thing he's like, "Play something." And honestly, that's one of the most scariest. That's the scariest words you can hear. Play something, because at that moment you really don't know what to play.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard. You like, and I don't know. I really till to date I don't know what I played.
Really?
I really don't know what I played. That I can't say I played a piece or I played
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
tune. I
Yeah.
just played the chords. I played some strumming. I played whatever is my sound. I
Yeah.
have a sound.
Yeah.
So I know I played whatever was my sound. And one of the first things Sir said was, "Where did you learn this stuff?"
Wow.
And then I said, I've been playing since I was a kid. I play in church. I've been watching a lot of videos, and I've learned this. And he's like, "Wow, that's nice. That's nice sound, nice chords. You know what? Let's record tomorrow." And
Wow.
it started. And that's how this whole journey started. And it was really shocking. And that at that time the movie Rockstar was happening,
Yeah.
and so I was also doing a couple of ads at that time. So I remember playing on a couple of tunes. And I
Kun.
still one of the Kun Fire Con, Nada Farate, then couple of tunes on
Yeah.
Rockstar, and then I still remember one of the ads I was playing. I don't remember what ad it was,
Yeah.
and there was already a reference track laid down, and and I was playing. I was just already recording, and Sir walked in, and I was like, "Do you have anything to say, or do you want to tell me what I should do?" And he presses the talk back, and he goes like, "Everything you play sounds good. Keep going."
Wow.
And for me to hear something like that from Rahman sir was huge,
Yeah.
and I think ever since then it's been an amazing journey. I just so much to learn from him, and I think that's what I look forward to every experience to take back to learn something.
Wow.
And usually when I work, or I don't know how anybody works, but when I work, I usually have a pattern that there's always a framework within which I work.
Mm.
And Rahman has always taught me to break that framework.
Wow.
Doesn't have there's no pattern, there's no structure, and he's always so out of the box. It's
Yeah.
always something different.
Wow.
And that's what I've learned to, because I like going by a book. I like following rules. That's how I am. I like there's a structure, there's a rules. But I feel like Sir's always breaking the rules in a good way, breaking the rules in a good way and coming up with something new. So
Amazing. Amazing.
yeah.
And so, what's been your most memorable recording experience? I know you have recorded numerous songs with Sir. I want to specifically touch on some of the songs, but I'll come to that later.
Yeah. So I think one of the songs that I really, the whole experience was Younger Ponarasa.
Wow.
I think I think that song is the only song for Sir that I was there from nothing to the completion.
Wow, really?
From from there was just nothing. I still remember we just went to the studio, we were jamming. There's a video up on YouTube where we just jamming. And I still this is an interesting story that I think in the video also it's not explained. When we did that song that night, the song when we recorded the song the first night, Shakti and myself, the song was in 4/4. The
Yeah.
time signature was 4/4, and it didn't feel right. You know, the interlude felt great. The song, there was something, and so it's like, come tomorrow and finish it. And the next day, I don't know if I suggested or Sir just suggested, I don't remember, but we were like, let's try it in 7. And then he's like, how will you go to the 4/4? And I'm like, we'll just put the click in such a way it feels like it's just moving into one another. And he's like, yeah, sure, just go and do it. And Sir gives you that freedom sometimes just to go and do something. And I was
Wow.
like, okay. And I went and recorded it, and it felt so seamless. It felt so beautiful. So
Yeah.
this is something that a lot of people don't know. The first version that we did was a complete 4/4 arrangement, and
Wow.
then it became a 7/8 into a 4/4 back to 7/8. That kind of fun.
Of course. And I hope you know that that video is so popular on YouTube.
Yeah.
And we guys have AR Rahman fans WhatsApp group, and that somebody posted that video even this morning. You won't believe it.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Nice. Yeah, the funny thing is, we had no clue that Bharat Bala was actually recording. We had no clue that he was recording on his iPad. I mean, when you see somebody with an iPad, you assume they're watching something or reading something. And I guess Shakti and myself were so engrossed in just talking and just,
Yeah.
coming up with the song with Sir that we didn't even notice that he was recording things. And that whole process of a song coming together and
Yeah.
being through that whole process, I think for me that one song was quite special.
For sure. And then trust me, Bharat Bala sir came on the podcast last week
Oh,
and he even sang the song. He said, "This is my favorite." He asked me, "Have you seen that video? I took it." And then he said, "This is," he actually started singing that song. He said, "It's my favorite."
nice.
So yes, of course. Uh, so Keba, as I said, I've met you personally in a number of concerts. You have traveled so much with Sir,
Yeah,
and for the last so many years and the years to come.
yeah.
I, what I wanted to ask you is, having done so many concerts and stuff and tours with him, what is it like to travel with the maestro?
Oh,
Have you
nice.
had any, how should I say, conversations with him that has treasured in you?
Yeah. So I think that's one of the best things to do is travel with Sir, because there's a totally different side of him that you see, which you really don't get to see in India.
Yeah,
I think he's free to go about, he's free to walk around. So when we did this tour called the NAIT tour,
yeah,
2015 or 14,
mm,
one of those years we did this North American tour,
yeah,
and we were rehearsing in Nashville.
mm,
We were rehearsing before we went on tour, and one night he just invited. He invited some of us. He invited Karthik, Harichar, and myself. And he's like,
yeah,
just going to check out some of the local music scene out here.
yeah,
Let's go for a walk. And those kind of things it'll never happen in life. Imagine going for a walk one evening with him, just going and listening to music in different small pubs and all those kind of places, and listening to the local music. And that's when he started talking to us.
wow,
You could see the amount of music that he's listened to,
wow,
and the amount of music that he's that he's just experienced over the years, because all that knowledge he was just sharing so much with us. And those kind of moments I don't think you will ever get again, because he was, and it's that environment. See, there's nobody's troubling him, nobody's bothering him. He's able to walk around,
yeah,
listen,
yeah,
and in that process he's finding freedom to even share with us. It's
Correct.
like check out his band, see check out his music, and that was I think that was one of the most memorable evenings I,
Amazing.
that I can remember because I think even I think he also finds a lot of freedom to walk
Yes.
around and yeah. So I think a lot of the backstage fun that we have
Mm.
happens in a lot of these stores where we celebrate birthdays or sirs just having fun and saying something funny backstage. Those kind of things happen more, I feel, when we are on tour rather than when we are in the country. Because when we are in the country, there's always somebody meeting him or
Yeah.
there's something like that happening. But yeah, so those have been some.
Nice. And one of the things that I personally know about Sir with the handful of times that I've met him is his
Yeah,
sense of humor.
yeah.
And we all know that he has an amazing sense of humor. And he, like, for example, I met him in Trichy recently in February. He came down the stage during rehearsal and spoke to me for 15 minutes.
Okay.
And then in that 15 minutes, he must have cracked so many jokes, and we both were laughing.
Oh, nice.
So I wanted to know, do you remember any of those moments where he has cracked the jokes and you've gone, like,
Uh,
oh my God, I didn't expect this from Sir.
I I know that Sir has a great sense of humor, but I know that he can be very um, he can be very witty in his replies. So sometimes I've noticed sometimes people try to outsmart him,
Yeah,
musically or something, and the way he replies to them, it can be so funny, and it happens during our rehearsals.
yeah,
It happens so, and especially with somebody like Rahman sir, since you're playing his music,
yeah,
he has the freedom to do whatever he wants with his music.
correct.
As an artist, you don't have the freedom to do whatever you want because it's his music.
Yeah,
So it's always best to listen to. But I've seen him give, sometimes a few, witty replies to a few people who
yeah.
try to smart him. It's been fun. It's been a very fun run.
Yes. I will share something with you. So interestingly enough, this is my ARR room slash office room here at home.
Oh, nice, nice.
And of course, a
I feel
car,
that.
number plate, and all that, that that happened last year. And that's actually the picture behind me, other than Delhi, la, Shangri-La Hotel, la, lobby. La.
Oh, nice, nice.
And so I met him just before he was heading towards the venue
Okay.
for the rehearsal. And then he said, let's catch up when I come back from the concert. And we actually did. We met outside his hotel room and then we were talking for like 10 minutes.
Okay.
Anyway, that wasn't what I was going to talk to you about. But what I wanted to tell you was I was setting up this room and then I took pictures of this and then sent it to Sir. Less than a minute, I got a response saying, looks nice, but ponnu patacha illiya. So he's behind me because
Yeah,
it,
he can be very funny that way.
I laugh so much because that's the least thing that I expected from him,
Yeah.
and then he puts ha ha ha.
I mean, Sir sometimes has he can say the funniest things during rehearsal, and he knows how to have a good time. Like
Correct.
even when we rehearse, sometimes he'll come and he'll ask us. He'll just ask us general things about how what we are up to,
Mm,
anything that we've listened to, and he does this a lot nowadays. He just forwards me some new gear that he checks out.
yeah,
All and that's one thing I love about Sir. He's always looking for something new,
correct.
always looking. And when he finds something new that can help someone else,
Yeah.
like a guitar player, he just forwards it to me.
Wow.
And that's what is so inspiring. Like, I mean, the fact that he took time to share that thing with me, So he's always forwarding something or the other, and there's so much to learn, and
Yeah, it's amazing.
and he's always in the front. He's like always in the forefront of technology, and
True,
that's what you have to do.
true.
Not only just audio, but now I also feel video. He's really, really
Yes,
pushing it. Yeah.
yes. Of course, yes. I don't know whether you have noticed. I have personally noticed this in the concerts that I have come and watched in India, especially when he goes past you,
Yeah.
he looks at you and gives you a smile.
Yeah.
And and I've also seen this in the videos as well. If you could just jump onto the Beatos channel and have a look at some of the videos, right? You will see that he will look at you and he'll give you a smile.
And he's been very kind to me. Sir's been very kind to me, as in sometimes before the show, before like a song starts, he'll come and ask me what's the next song, what's happening, what's this next song. He just to like to know what's in the run order,
Yeah.
And sometimes there are moments where he'll just have fun on stage. There's one instance which you can see in the One Heart video
Yeah.
where he just come up to me and he'll just have some fun.
I saw.
Yeah. So all those things, it's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Awesome. So, Keva, the thing is, so me as a fan, right? As a hardcore fan, Sir's any song that comes out, it goes in an infinite loop.
Okay.
And it goes for days and days, sometimes weeks.
Okay.
That's the way I process every sound that comes out of his song.
Okay.
And I will remember every small little nuance of it.
Okay.
And the thing is, interestingly enough, some of the songs, like I've told this to Sir as well in the podcast, Trida Trida, for example, this is so old,
Yeah.
but still so relevant and fresh even today.
Yeah.
And I sometimes feel I've just heard a brand new sound in that. Although I must have heard millions of times, I must have just heard that small sound that came from nowhere.
Yeah.
Do you feel so too?
Definitely. See, definitely some of the ideas that Sir did so many years ago
Yeah.
still set a benchmark for new composers.
Correct.
They are always looking up to music that he's done over the years, because I think Sir, when he started doing music, was far ahead of his times.
Yeah.
And
So,
he was so far ahead of his times, and the way he used to sample sounds.
yeah.
Even now, when it's so he's always looking for new sounds, and he's trying to create sounds, so even with all his songs, there'll be all these tiny elements that you have to really, sometimes you just miss it. If you're just casually listening, you just miss it. But if you keep listening it over and over again, there are so many tiny things that you'll find, throughout the songs. And I think that's one of the things that's kept his music even relevant today. That a lot of it was far ahead of the times when he did it, and he was super inspiring back then, and is continuing to be an inspiration to all of us even now. And it's so nice when I meet a lot of young composers that one of the first references that they look, the one of the people that they look up to as an inspiration is Rahman sir. It's amazing.
Wow. Such an amazing answer. Thank you. Thank you, Keva. Thank you so much. So actually, on that note, you have also now taken on a new journey as a composer, right?
Yes.
And how has the influence been whilst working with Sir for the last so many years, and now you're on your own? How
Yeah.
much of an influence does it have on your own journey?
It's been pretty interesting. I did my first movie, The Monty Colony, in 2015,
Yeah.
and so only released the music, and it was a horror film. But interestingly enough, after that, I got a lot of scripts, and all of them were horror films. Just because I did a horror film, and it did really well. It did really well. It was a pretty big hit in Tamil. It did really well. So then I got a lot of horror scripts. But then I also I took a small break just to rediscover and wait for a really good script to come. So right now, I've been approached for a nice thriller film. I was just approached before the lockdown, and then the lockdown happened. So, but it's really helped me in the sense I've over the years I've got to see Sir's process.
Yeah.
And one of the things Sir always has said is, when you come to a musician as a director, you have to trust them that they will do the job.
Right.
You're going to sit and be like, no this, and sit. You have to trust them. Unless you trust them, they won't be able to deliver. And that's one thing that I've looked for always in a director. The director has to come to me, and he has to trust me for what I am going to give, and trust me that I will deliver my best. And I've seen that time and time and again. So the moment that Sir's given that kind of
Freedom.
like freedom and that trust to do the the project goes somewhere else. It's just magical,
Wow.
and and I think I've noticed that even just being in this industry, the more controlling people get, the
Mm,
more they start to micromanage everything.
yeah.
The composer isn't able to really give their all, their freedom, and they might want to do something that's creatively different, and maybe that's something new. But
Mm,
because they start to micromanage, it becomes very hard to do something.
so true.
Yeah,
Would would that be the thing that you would say if that is the most distinctive difference between working with Sir and others?
definitely. Sir has incredible trust
Mm,
with whomever he works with. I think if you work with Sir, he trusts you.
amazing.
Else you don't work with him. That's that's it. And it's so surprising. See, like initially, I'm saying I started recording for Sir 2011,
Yeah.
maybe 2011, 2012, 2013, maybe even 2014. Till then, Sir was recording me a little bit here and there.
Right.
And post that, he just used to tell studio guys, just call Keba and ask him to play. And I think he can only do that if you trust somebody.
Yeah.
It has to be a trust thing. It has to be the fact that when somebody comes, they deliver their best. They're always at the top of their game.
Yeah.
And I think I've had that experience with him. He's always told me, your sound is good, or he's very encouraging also,
Mm,
throughout the. And if even if he wants to, Sir always has a very funny way of if there's something wrong with something you've done. Sir really he really won't approach it directly. He'll say it in such a sweet way. He'll try to make it sound. He makes it sound sweet. The way he even wants to change
wow.
something. So
He finds the positives in everything.
yeah, he finds the positives, and that's amazing. And he really doesn't have time. One of the things I love about he really doesn't have time for useless um chatter.
Right.
The conversation has to be constructive
Yeah.
and cannot put down anybody. If the moment you start putting down anybody, sir's not interested in being part of that conversation.
Wow.
And
Amazing.
yeah, so
And of course, traveling with him again, over the tours and all the gigs, you had a chance to sit with him and have a meal as well at any point?
yes, I mean we've had a lot of meals together, and surprisingly enough, Sir loves a lot of biryani. I mean, Sir loves a lot of biryani. Even sometimes when we go to his studio to record, like we've had like dinner at the studio, and there would be like some really nice biryani. I still remember going to, I think Canada. We went to Canada, and we went to a nice Pakistani shop, as in the whole band, and Sir also came along with us. It was not a fancy restaurant, but the biryani was great, and he came along with us. We had a good meal. We had good fun. One of the other things we did was we went to his house in LA,
Yeah.
and that was so was like you guys are guests in my house, and so was serving us the rice.
Oh, wow.
And those kind of things, like wow. And when you go to the LA house, you obviously know the level at which he works and operates because of all the accolades and
Right.
I mean all the I mean
Yeah.
he's truly inspirational, truly inspirational.
In fact, since you touched on the LA part, Ranjit sir also came on the podcast.
Oh,
And
nice.
he said when Ranjit sir was there with Sir in LA at his home, Sir had actually made an omelette or something for Ranjit, and he said it was amazing to see A.R. Rahman making an omelette. So,
And
yeah,
Sir likes to have, I mean, again, Sir's LA's house, I think it's a little more relaxed and a little more fun. I still remember the time the whole band went there. He
mm,
was showing around his entire house. Then he started taking pictures. He's like, you guys pose like, so I'll take pictures. And he started taking pictures. I think Sir's love for not only audio but video and photography is crazy.
very
And
true.
some of the gear he has is incredible. So he was just showing how to capture some photos and some videos. So it's oh,
Of course. Yeah, of course. I mean, you played so many songs for Sir, and how does it feel when a song that you have played with Sir, for example, when Engapona Rasa came out, how did you feel like the song that you worked with him comes out, even before it turns out to be magical and a huge hit?
I mean, see, honestly, I never imagined that I'd be playing for, playing for Rahman sir. I mean, these are things that people dream of all their life, and you never know how these things happen. But it's happened for me, and I'm grateful for it. And the volume of work that I've done with Sir,
Yeah,
like it's been 10 years now.
yeah.
I've played on almost every single album, and
Mm,
I've played so many songs, especially Tamil. Now I've played a lot of stuff,
mm,
and when I travel in a when I travel in a cab or when I just
mm,
restaurant, and I'll be listening to something, and you'll be sitting at a table with friends and eating, and
mm,
they'll be listening to the song and enjoying the song, And a lot of times, a lot of people don't even know that I played because, I mean, I used to have the habit of sharing everything that I play,
yeah.
but lately I haven't been sharing everything. But they'll be like, man, this new song is so cool, and I'd be thinking, I played guitars on that. Do you know that? But it's very magical the way music can touch people and impact people,
Of course.
and how music reaches globally
Mm,
is amazing. It's just
very true.
very
I wanted to let you know that even though you don't share, all your crazy fans watch every minutest detail
amazing.
and they know every song that you have touched your guitar on. I can tell you
Oh,
this for sure because
thanks.
half an hour before the podcast itself, I had a long list of questions sent by a number of your fans. So
Oh, wow.
I had to only pick a few. I can't ask you hundreds of questions and bore you to that. So,
Amazing.
of course, one of your hardcore fans asked me to ask you, how was the experience working in Rockstar?
Okay, so Rockstar was one of the films where I think my name, I would have played for at least 7 songs on that album.
Wow.
7 songs on the album. And that is technically my first album with Sir.
Wow.
I think I've done a few ads before that,
Mm,
but if it's a full-fledged album, that's my first album with Sir.
mm,
And played on Adan Parande, played on a couple of other songs, and that whole process during those few months, that was the period when Sir was recording me a lot.
mm.
Oh, and Sir is so fast in the studio. He's really fast. He's really fast at recording, which means you have to be twice as fast to respond.
Wow.
That, and if you're not working at the pace that he's working, you can slow that whole process down. Yeah,
Wow.
it's like any other job. When somebody's working fast, they expect you to be at that pace. If you're not at that pace, it kind of like kills the drive or
Yeah.
whatever, that creative process.
Yeah.
So, and that's one of the things I love working about with Sir because when he's recording, that drive is there and
Mm,
it's going at a good pace. So
mm.
this is one of those albums where all the songs, a lot
Wow.
of songs, we sat together, and this is one of the albums where a lot of the stuff we recorded was live,
Wow.
not too much programming, but a lot
Wow.
of live stuff. So
Right.
I remember for Nadan Parande session, um, what we call it? So Keith, Sanjeev, and myself were called in.
Mm,
He was playing electric guitars, I was playing acoustic guitars, and Keith was playing bass. And we all played it together, just back to back. And so was recording at an incredible speed. And then how when we play this live, when we
mm,
play the songs of Rockstar live,
mm.
how the audience love it, especially the song Joby Man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The way the crowd interacts and they love it. We really haven't performed too much of Sadda Haq live,
Yeah.
but so we've been doing Nadan Parande for a while. Nadan Parande,
Is
and
there a
whenever
reason?
it comes, we do Jogi Me.
Mm. Is there a reason why Sadahak wasn't performed frequently?
I really don't know. Maybe it's a singer it's a
Yeah.
singer thing
Yeah.
or something like that. But yeah, that was the one of the first albums that I got to work with Sir.
Nice.
And actually, when I look at that album and see my name featured in so many songs, it's pretty stunning.
You still have the CD cover and all that?
I have, yeah. In fact, you know what I used to do back then when
Yeah.
CDs were popular. I uh, I used to take some CDs and get them signed by Sir and
Wow.
give to my friends who were like fans,
Really?
and they
So great
wouldn't
to see.
believe it. Yeah, so a lot of my friends were like hardcore fans, and I would just ask Sir to sign on them and go give it to them, and they would just be over the moon. So it's been
You know what,
incredible,
Keba?
yeah.
When I come to Chennai next, I will take you out for dinner, but please get me a CD signed by him.
I mean, I wish there were CDs still, but I think they still. I mean, I still think Sir. I mean, if I would ask him, he would just sign, and he's always been really,
Yeah,
he's really
yes,
always cool that way, just sign and just give.
of
So it's
course.
been good.
In fact, the book that you see there, Sir's autobiography, I got him to sign when I came to Chennai last year.
Okay.
He was
Oh,
very
nice.
kind.
Oh, nice.
And I had this T-shirt of mine, I love ARR, and he signed on that as well.
Oh, nice.
So another question, a great question from another very good fan of yours. His name is Gautam. He
Yeah.
says, Keba, can you please describe your experience working on Nan Yen Piranden by Sir? And he said, were you allowed to make any improvisations? And also, was there a pressure of a deadline or was there room for innovation? I think it's a great question.
That's a great question. Okay. So this is like interesting news for all hardcore era fans. Um, Nani and Perendeen. Actually, you guys haven't heard the original track yet. The original track is from an album called, I think it's called Chemical Roses. What
Right.
chemical roses? In Tamil, it's something. Yeah.
Okay.
It's from that album that he
Yeah.
was working on.
Right.
And so this song was already played by somebody. It was played by, I think it was played by George Doring from US.
Right.
And then MTV Coke Studio happened,
Yes.
and they gave me this version of the song.
Mm.
And I heard it, and I was like, and we had to perform it live,
Mm.
to
Mm.
perform it live. So I took the song and I interpreted it however I could interpret it.
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting thing for whoever was asking because Sir absolutely gave me the freedom to do whatever I wanted. He never said a thing. Sir's never said a thing and with anything I did on that song.
Yeah.
And that's such a beautiful song. It's one of the most, actually, if you, that's one of my most favorite songs.
Amazing.
And it's such a beautiful song. And I think while we were even recording it, we had such a good experience working on it. It was so much fun to work. And the way Sir sung on that song,
Indeed.
it's beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. And I think Sir generally gives that kind of freedom if he knows you're not messing with the feel of the song or the place where the song is. So so generally gives that freedom. So a
Right.
lot of the chords that you hear that I've played on the song, a lot of the inversions are stuff that I just played. It's basically I interpreted what the guitar player had already done.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
But I hope that you guys get to hear the original because that also is beautiful. I hope that releases sometime. I think there is an album called Chemical Roses. I don't know what's in Tamil. I don't know what you guys
No,
do.
we're happy with this one.
Yeah, so yeah,
We want to just remember this one for Keva and Sir. Uh,
yeah,
I don't know. This particular song, Nani and Pirandan, does something to me when especially Sir's voice and with the music and all that. It does something which I'm unable to explain. I feel that it puts me in a confused state, or puts me in a state where I can't really describe what it is. There are some songs that do that, right? You know what I'm trying to say.
yeah,
This
yeah,
is one of them.
yeah. And I think
Does
we've performed this once or twice live.
really?
Once or twice, very rarely live. And some will usually share like like sir's very deep into like
Yeah,
about life and about who we are and what our purpose is.
yeah.
And so he uses this song when he wants to share about that, he sings this song. So it's been pretty interesting.
Wow, amazing. I don't know, some of his songs put tears in my eyes, and I could never explain why even I have tears because I'm not really thinking about anything, but this song has touched my soul in some way, and then something happens.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to ask you, while playing for a song like this,
Yeah.
uh, what do you go through as a musician?
See, what I want to try my best to do is to convey what the song is trying to do.
Right.
See, a lot of the time, what you can try to do as a musician is
Mm,
try to put in all the fancy stuff that you know,
mm,
and but for me, what I'm always looking to see is what is the song trying to convey? What is the message of the song?
yeah.
And as long as you're trying to convey that in the same way with your music,
Mm,
that's what I'm looking for, not trying to overdo it,
mm,
not trying to put all my head knowledge. Because if I want to show, okay, this is the fancy stuff I can do, it might not work for the song. And so that's what I'm always trying to do when I work on a song. What's the song about? What's the mood of the song? What's the song trying to convey? And that's how
right.
I really approach the song.
Good one, good one. Having worked with Sir all these years, for about 10, 11 years now, I'm sure you would know what are the things that Sir actually likes, right?
Yeah.
Do you work towards in that direction, or you try to reinvent yourself to impress him with something that he has never seen before or heard before from you?
I I try to, I know some of the sounds, the kind of space that he likes with in
Yeah.
terms of sound, but I'm also always looking out for newer. It's like this. For example, you see something in 1080, but
Mm.
I'm trying to go towards 4K. That's where I want to. That's what I want to show him.
Yeah.
I can make it super HD. I can make it ultra HD for you. That's something because I think Sir looks for that pristine quality in whatever you do. No, it's has even if you play one note, it has to sound magical. That's what he says.
Amazing.
So
Amazing.
that's what I'm looking for. That ultimate HD effect in whatever you do.
I like it. I like that one.
Yeah.
On a lighter note, right? How many guitars have you got? You got, I can see one, two, three, four, five behind you.
I have five behind me. I have a lot of guitars. So this technically the room where I work.
Yeah.
But I have a room upstairs where I keep a lot more guitars. I have about 20 guitars.
Right.
I mean, I did have a lot more, but then I had a lot of guitar students, so I gave a lot of them away.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow. So kind of.
a lot of the older guitars I give away because guitars are very hard to maintain,
Yeah.
especially with Chennai weather and all those things,
Wow.
even harder to maintain. So if I know I'm not going to go use a guitar for a while, I usually give it to a student, or if somebody's looking to buy it, I
Okay.
usually give it away.
There is a reason I asked because you and I both know how much of a big fan Sir is in shopping instruments and gadgets.
Oh
So I
yeah.
want to know, have you been to a shopping center or to a musical store with him when he is off to buy something and you had an impulsive buy of something as well?
I I've not been to a musical shop with Sir, but I've been to Best Buy,
Right.
the US, and oh, Sir loves his gadgets and Sir loves his VR things and all his toys. But the other thing, this is I definitely have to share. Um, I don't know where Sir got this instrument called the charango. It's a South American instrument,
Mm.
and I don't know how did Sir buy it or I don't know what happened. So one day he just calls me to the studio and he's like, "Here, this is for you."
Mm. Oh,
He gives me the charango. I was like, "Wow!" And I'm like, do I just use it here or can I take it home? And he's like, "Keep it with you." Yeah.
wow.
It's like, "Wow, thank you." So that's one instrument. The second instrument was after a show somewhere abroad. He invites me to his hotel room again after the gig. I go to his room and he gives me this tiny Western dulcimer.
Wow.
Like, here, take this, you know. And I was like, okay. And so Sir has this habit where if he sees something interesting and he knows it can be useful or somebody can learn something,
Yeah.
he does that right away. And,
Amazing.
and I've seen Sir buy a couple of. So now he's started buying guitars for the studio.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that when you go to the studio, there are a couple of guitars you can choose which one to play from. You
Mm.
know, Sir's been great that way. Even technology wise, there was there's this thing called the hot hand ring.
Mm.
It's a tech gadget, and he had it in the studio, and nobody was using it. And I was like, "Sir, can I check it out?" He's like, "Yeah, take it and use it." You know, so it's those kind of things are just. I mean, he's always been amazing that way. So just
Because
love. He always shares the gift of music, and
when Sir was there in the podcast, I asked him, Sir, I know you like shopping.
yeah.
What is the most recent thing that you bought? I know you did buy the new MacBook Pro, but what else did you buy? And he said, lockdown, man, no shopping.
I think
And
one of the things on tour also that we can enjoy is watching Sir shop, because you'll just see a lot of new gear coming on stage, a lot of new gear when you come back to Chennai. When you go from Chennai to a country, it'll be just 20 bags. When you come back, it'll be like 30 bags. And you're like, what are these 10 new bags? And there'll be just so much new gear. So, it's really cool.
in fact, yeah, at the end of the podcast, myself and Sir had a conversation off the record. And then I told him, Sir, you know what? I want to come shopping with you and we
Yeah.
should go for dinner somewhere, just the two of us. He said, No, no, I will come to Melbourne. That way we both can do that.
Nice, nice.
So, and Keva, of course, as much as I would have loved to keep you here forever and hours and just talk about Sir, I'm sure that time wouldn't be sufficient. But unfortunately, we have to come towards the end of the podcast.
Okay.
And I was going to ask you, of course, you've worked with Sir for more than a decade now. And is there any message that you would like to convey via this I Love ARR podcast to Sir? And I know, we both know Sir doesn't watch anything in a very slow pace, he's in a fast forward thing. Who
Yeah.
knows, this might come up in that little glimpse that he sees.
If there's one thing I'd like to say, I would just like to say that thank you for sharing this this life of music that you've given to us, and this inspiring generations of young musicians, to aim for like really great things, because I think he's paved a way where Indian music has become so good, and we are as in he's put India, and for that matter, he's put Chennai on the global map, which is so cool, and that's a huge thank you to him. Huge,
Amazing.
we are to put and to be inspiring to a lot of young musicians.
So true.
Yeah.
And one thing I've noticed is, of course, in total I've had about 30 odd guests come on this podcast. Everyone who has worked closely with him, all your friends and colleagues have come here, and your friend Karthik Devraj is also coming.
Yeah.
And I find one of the most, how should I say, the common thing that I find amongst everyone is everyone seems very humble. Is that an influence of working with Sir?
I think it's part of working with him. I think the more and more you work with him, the the lesser you try to talk about yourself
So true.
and what you've achieved, and you're always looking to better yourself.
So good.
And that's also Sir's. That's something that you learn from Sir. Sir's always, when you work for someone who's just pushing, and even see, Sir doesn't have anything left to accomplish. He's accomplished everything. But even now, he's not giving up. Like in the studio, use this new gadget, and he's like, "Can you find this new sound? Can you do this?" And you're thinking, and you're like, I'm 35, and I'm thinking, man, I'm just so tired, and I'm just thinking, he's done this for so many years, and he's still looking for something new.
Wow.
So that drive,
Yeah.
even after so long, how is he having that drive? That's just incredible. And as long as you you work with someone like that,
Mm.
you also have that drive, and that way he is always pushing you. So I
So
think he's been a great influence to all of us.
so true. Amazing. Keva, it's been a magical 1 hour, 52 minutes chat with you. Sorry, I must have taken away the creative space that you would have otherwise had. But I wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart to have given me this time of yours. And also, most importantly, accepting an invite from just an ordinary fan who's just doing a little podcast. That's all.
My pleasure to be